How's it feel to be the GOAT for this moment?
Amazing.
Sometimes, the most exciting parts of birding are not the full days out, but the times you made the most of the limited hours you had to work with. After getting a late start, I had just a small amount of light left, but somehow managed to still have an absolutely fantastic day of birding.
Hey everyone, it is a very nice day out in Wisconsin today, and we are getting a little bit of a late start, but we were going to try to see how many new first of year birds we can find today. After the first of the year birding challenge that we did, I had 50 to start, added a couple more since then, but there's a lot of pretty easy ones out there I still want to get. So today we're going to be driving around, seeing what we can find with the 4-ish hours of light that is left, and hopefully we can get a nice total of new birds for the day.
Along with fellow Wisconsin birder Nathaniel, we headed to our first location and quickly found our first target bird there.
We're looking at our first new bird of the day. It's a long-eared owl, and these are a sensitive species, so we're not going to get too close to it and just use the super zoom camera. If you see an owl that's puffed up and sleepy, that means that it's at least fairly relaxed. So that's how I always like to see them. It's nice and puffy and chilled out. It's a really cool way to start our birding today with this neat first of year long-eared owl.
Long-eared owls are incredibly beautiful looking birds, sporting mottled browns with touches of orange. They have a lighter colored underside, still mottled or barred with darker colors, and their facial disc is orangey brown in color. They are aptly named for their very long ear tufts on top of their head. These birds can be very hard to find, as they tend to roost in thick tree cover, where their supreme camouflage conceals them from potential threats, even when there are several owls roosting together, which happens regularly during the winter months. Oftentimes, their preferred roosting sites are near more open areas, where they can hunt for small rodents during the night. Long-eared owls actually have a very expansive range, living across North America, Europe, and Asia. Due in large part to this range, they have a fairly large population worldwide, somewhere in the neighborhood of 500,000 birds. However, they are a species that is difficult to estimate, due to their secretive nature and fluctuations in population that the species goes through. They are also very sensitive and prone to stress, making them a complicated and contentious topic in the birding community. They are unfortunately a target of harassment by overeager birders and photographers, who mistake the owls using their camouflage to try and avoid detection, for the owl being okay with the intruder's presence, and continuing to press closer, until the owl or owls eventually flush, using up precious resources and sometimes causing harm to the birds. While we were at this spot that has sadly become overrun with people, we kept our distance from the owls we found, happy to watch them through binoculars and long-distance zoom cameras. We also found a few other birds, including robins, and our second first-of-year bird, an out-of-season hermit thrush.
That was a really nice first stop to get the hermit thrush, which I got terrible media of because it was just in the brush so much and then kind of vanished, but I can take a screenshot for you and you can see it. And then those long-eared owls are, of course, incredible with that stunning camouflage that they had. There was this one time when one was in front of another one that has back turned to us and we couldn't even really see the other one was there, and then Nathaniel pointed it out and said, oh, there's two right there. So really cool to see those owls up close and get two birds that are first of the years. We're going to move on now toward the lake and see if we can pick up some ducks and waterfowl that would be first of the year as well.
We made our way to the icy shores of Lake Michigan, where hundreds of ducks were out on the water. Before looking at any of those birds, much nearer to us was a very common one, which we somehow didn't have on our year lists yet. Got ring-billed gull, one of the worst misses from the first of the year, so glad to get that one checked off the year list. Relieved to check ring-billed gull off of our year needs list, we turned our attention to the ducks. Most of them were common goldeneyes, greater scops, and buffleheads. But among them was one new species for the year, a surf scoter, which was a nice find. Not wanting to spend too much of our daylight sifting through sea ducks, we moved on.
Found 2 new birds mixed in with that big flock of birds out on the lake, and now we are going to look for some more new gull species. So there's a river that goes right through Milwaukee and empties out into Lake Michigan, and a lot of the ice there is home to a lot of gulls that will loaf on it. So we're going to try to look through gulls, find big flocks of them, hopefully pick out some with dark mantles or white wingtips, and find some first of years.
We started the search for large flocks of gulls, checking many different places along the river and lake. Along the way, we got a close-up view of a common bird.
Really nice red-tailed hawk right there. Not a first of year, but a bird worth appreciating if you can get a close look. Sure, they're really numerous. Sure, you see them around the highway, but it's always a bird that if you take a good look at it, is quite beautiful.
After checking more areas along the river, we eventually found a group of gulls near UW-Milwaukee's Freshwater Sciences building.
Found a gull flock. We're going to try to climb this tower actually and see if we can get a look at these gulls. They're a little backlit, so I'm a bit concerned about that, but hopefully with the scope and the camera on the tripod we can do some good work here.
We climbed up the tower, which I still don't know if it was made for observation or simply for kids, and got to work looking through the gulls.
Who is this tower for?
Kids?
Is it just kids? Are you going to use the slide?
No.
While we hoped for more variety in the flock, we did manage to find a Thayer's-type Iceland gull, probably the most difficult to pick out of all the winter gulls in the region because of how similar they look to herring gulls. Unlike other Iceland gulls that have white wingtips, Thayer's-type Iceland gulls are highly variable in appearance, but generally have dark wingtips. At least the outward-facing parts of their wingtips are dark. The underside can be lighter in color or completely white. They can be separated from other species by noting the white underside of the wing, more white coloration on the outer-facing portion of the wingtips, their more dove-like head shape, and darker eye. If this sounds like an identification nightmare to you, you'd be right. They can be very difficult to pick out, especially at a distance. They were once listed as their very own species before being lumped together into the Iceland gull species. It always feels like an accomplishment to be able to pick one out.
Didn't get any new birds for myself with that gull flock, but Nathaniel did pick out a really nice Thayer's-type Iceland gull, which I'm pretty sure is new for him for the year. So at least somebody got one there. We're going to try to backtrack a little bit because there was a report of a great blackback gull, which is always a cool bird to see. The biggest gull in the world, actually. So hopefully it's still there when we get there.
The marina where the great blackback gull was reported was very quiet, but we did get a close-up look at a bufflehead. We checked another spot that was nearby, and had one of our best finds of the day.
So we just got to find our own snowy owl without any reports. That's pretty cool.
Out on the ice.
Out on the ice.
You said it would give us another chance for a snowy here.
I did. I called it.
Calling your shot! The LeBron James of Milwaukee birding!
Snowy owls aren't necessarily rare in Wisconsin depending on the year, but they are always thrilling to see. They move from their Arctic breeding areas into southern Canada and the continental United States in greater or lesser numbers depending on how much food is available in the north. This year has been good so far for snowy owls in the Midwest, but that didn't mean that this find wasn't still extremely exciting.
No great blackback gull, but we did get a snowy owl, which was so cool to see. It was actually pretty active out on the ice looking around. It even was preening itself, stood up like it was going to fly, then went back down. But that was a really neat experience. Our second owl species of the day. And the first one ever self-found by Nathaniel.
Yeah.
How's it feel to be the goat?
I don't think I'm the goat.
How's it feel to be the goat for this moment?
Amazing.
With the light starting to wane, we headed south, hoping to pick up one or two more new birds for the day.
Made a brief stop at some bird feeders at a park called Grant Park. It's usually a great spot for birding. I'm not seeing anything new for the year, but there are a lot of common feeder birds here that you can get a really close look at. So tons of cardinals, mourning doves, downy woodpecker. Nice stop, but it's probably going to be brief because we are running out of daylight.
With a lot of nice looks at common birds, but nothing new, we made one more last-ditch stop.
It's our last stop of the day because we are really running out of light. We have 4 birds that are new for me so far for the year, but they've been pretty cool. So it's still been a really good day, but we're hoping to pick out a few more here, maybe Harrier, short-eared owl, something like that to take us to at least 5.
Once again, no new birds made themselves visible, and with the light essentially setting to the point where we could no longer see, we called it a day. While we were hoping for more than 4 first-of-year birds, it was still an amazing birding excursion, especially since we only had around 4 hours to do it. The highlights were definitely the 2 owl species we were lucky enough to see, and simply getting out to enjoy birding on a nice winter day was also a great way to spend some time. If you liked this video, take a look at one of these, and as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Badgerland Birding.